HESI A2 exam. Question 1. Which term describes the ability of an organism to maintain a stable internal environment? Metabolism, homeostasis, anabolism, apoptosis. Homeostasis maintains stable internal conditions, temperature, pH, glucose. Metabolism is chemical reactions, anabolism builds molecules, apoptosis is programmed cell death. Question 2. What type of immunity is acquired when a person receives an injection of antibodies? Active natural, active artificial, passive natural, passive artificial. Passive artificial immunity involves receiving antibodies from external source, injection. Active natural equals infection, active artificial equals vaccine, passive natural equals maternal antibodies. Question 3. Which of the following correctly lists the order of the scientific method? Experiment, hypothesis, conclusion, observation. Observation, hypothesis, experiment, conclusion. Conclusion, experiment, observation, hypothesis. Hypothesis, conclusion, observation, experiment. Scientific method: make observations, form hypothesis, conduct experiment, analyze data, draw conclusion. The correct order is observation, hypothesis, experiment, conclusion. Question 4. A solution with a pH of 10 has how many more hydroxide ions than a solution of pH 7? 3 times more, 10 times more, 100 times more, 1000 times more. Each pH unit represents 10x change. pH 10 has 1000x more OH than pH 7, 10 carat, 10 to 7, equals 10 cubed equals 1000. pH 7 has equal H plus and OH dash, pH 10 is basic with more OH dash. Question 5. Which part of a neuron receives signals from other neurons? Axon, dendrite, synaptic cleft, myelin sheath. Dendrites receive signals and transmit towards cell body. Axon sends signals away, synaptic cleft is gap between neurons, myelin insulates axon. Question 6. Destruction of the pancreas would most directly impair which function? Bile storage, regulation of blood sugar and digestion, filtration of urea, production of red blood cells. Pancreas produces insulin/glucagon for blood sugar and digestive enzymes. Bile storage by gallbladder, urea filtration by kidneys, RBC production by bone marrow. Question 7. Which of the following is a function of the adrenal glands? Produce growth hormone, release epinephrine during stress, regulate sleep cycles, control thirst. Adrenal medulla releases epinephrine/norepinephrine during stress. Growth hormone from pituitary, sleep cycles from pineal/hypothalamus, thirst controlled by hypothalamus. Question 8. In an experiment, the group that does not receive the treatment is called the experimental group, variable group, control group, dependent group. Control group provides baseline for comparison by not receiving treatment. Experimental group receives treatment, variables are measured, dependent variable is outcome. Question 9. Which of these is a characteristic of viruses? They can reproduce independently. They are prokaryotes. They require a host cell to replicate. They have cell walls. Viruses are acellular and require host cell machinery to replicate. They cannot reproduce independently, are not prokaryotes, bacteria are, and lack cell walls. Question 10. What is the role of the proton gradient in cellular respiration? It splits water into oxygen. It drives ADP synthesis via ADP synthase. It directly produces CO2. It activates glycolysis. Proton gradient across inner mitochondrial membrane powers ADP synthase to produce ADP. Water splitting occurs in photosynthesis, CO2 from Krebs cycle, glycolysis activated by other signals. Question 11. Which of the following describes an acid according to the Bronsted-Lowry definition? Electron pair acceptor, proton donor, hydroxide donor, electron pair donor. Bronsted-Lowry acid donates H+, proton. Lewis acid accepts electron pair. Hydroxide donor is Arrhenius base. Question 12. Which part of the brain controls breathing and heart rate? Cerebrum, thalamus, medulla oblongata, hypothalamus. Medulla oblongata controls autonomic functions including breathing, heart rate, and blood pressure. Cerebrum for consciousness, thalamus for sensory relay, hypothalamus for homeostasis. Question 13. A patient's injury severs the spinal cord in the thoracic region. Which function will likely be lost? Arm movement only. Sensation below the injury. Breathing completely. Cranial nerve function. Thoracic spinal cord injury causes loss of sensation and motor function below injury level. Arm movement uses cervical nerves, breathing uses phrenic nerve, C3-C5, cranial nerves originate in brain. Question 14. Which of the following is an example of a phenotype? The gene for eye color. A DNA sequence. Blue eyes. An allele for tallness. Phenotype is observable trait, blue eyes, tall height. Genotype is genetic makeup, gene, DNA sequence, allele. Question 15. Which digestive enzyme begins breaking down starches in the mouth? Pepsin, trypsin, amylase, lipase. Salivary amylase, ptyalin, begins starch breakdown in mouth. Pepsin digests protein in stomach, trypsin digests protein in small intestine, lipase digests fats. Question 16. Which of the following is not a function of the liver? Detoxifying chemicals. Producing plasma proteins. Storing vitamins. Filtering urine. Liver filters blood but does not produce urine. Kidneys filter urine. Liver detoxifies, produces plasma proteins, albumin, clotting factors, and stores vitamins A, D, B12. Question 17. A person cannot see distant objects clearly. This condition is called myopia, hyperopia, presbyopia, astigmatism. Myopia, nearsightedness, blurs distant objects because eyeball is too long. Hyperopia blurs close objects. Presbyopia is age-related loss of near vision. Astigmatism is irregular corneal curvature. Question 18. Which of the following is a disaccharide? Glucose, fructose, sucrose, cellulose. Sucrose, glucose plus fructose, is a disaccharide. Glucose and fructose are monosaccharides, cellulose is a polysaccharide. Question 19. The transfer of genetic material through a pilus between bacteria is termed transformation, transduction, conjugation, binary fission. Conjugation transfers DNA via pilus between bacteria. Transformation picks up DNA from environment. Transduction uses virus. Binary fission is asexual reproduction. Question 20. Which of these is not a cardinal sign of inflammation? Redness, swelling, fever, heat. Cardinal signs: rubor, redness, tumor, swelling, calor, heat, dolor, pain. Fever is systemic response, not a cardinal sign of local inflammation.